Okay, so now for the genome assembly part. So for this part, we're going to use a different assemblers. So there's different softwares that will assemble genomes using different algorithms. They have different parameters you can pass. So we're going to use a few different assemblers, and then we're going to compare them in the end. Okay, but first, before we do that, we're going to do error correction on the reads, which usually tend to increase the final assembly quality. So we're going to use SPAdes, because SPAdes has a error correction option that we can add, and we're only going to first just signify to SPAdes that we're only going to do the error correction only. So to do that, first, for some reason, the version of SPAdes that we have right now, in the very beginning when we installed it the newest version, but when you run this code right here, you'll get an error talking about this error segmentation, but we need to downgrade it. So you can just copy and paste this into the code, into the command line, and press enter, and you're going to be prompted to install it. You can install it and it'll downgrade it to the version that will allow us to use the error correction. So we just need to go to here, copy and paste it, make sure that you downgrade it, or you can attempt this code right here, and then if you get the segmentation error, you can install this. But if I was you, I'll just downgrade it first and then run this code for the error correction only. So copy and paste this. And then I'm just going to make it put one line. And, oh wait, my bad. Let me conda activate conda environment list, conda activate genome assembly, and then we can run our SPAdes. So here we get the error correction running, no segmentation fault, everything's good. So let that run. Okay, so after the error correction is done, we should get an output folder called SPAdes corrected, so we can change directories into that folder, and we can also change directories again into the corrected folder. And then here we should find the corrected files. So here's the forward read, reverse read, and then there's the names. We're going to change the names though real quick. So I'm going to copy and paste this right here. Copy, paste, enter, and then same thing for the reverse read. Copy, paste, clear list, and then now we have our corrected reads changed, so it's a little bit easier. Okay. Now, what we can do is we can actually start running the assembly process. So first we're going to run SPAdes assembly first, and we're going to run default settings, and we're going to name the output SPAdes default assembly. So we're going to be using these folders. Okay, we're going to stay in the corrected folder, and we're going to use these sequences. So we're going to have different outputs. The assembly outputs are going to be in folders. So SPAdes assembly, once we run default, it's going to create a folder called default assembly, SPAdes default assembly. So let's copy and paste. Copy. Okay, let's paste this. Oh, I see. I need to fix this part right here. Okay, try that again. There we go. Now it's running the assembly, or it's assembling the genome. and then we'll get an output called SPAdes default assembly. This probably takes like 30 or 15 to 30 minutes depending on your computer. After that, we'll run SPAdes assembly, and we're gonna run what the documentation. If you read the documentation, if you have 250 reads like we do, they're gonna specify the k-mer lengths as 21, 33, 55, 77, 99, 127, and you can run this whole section right here. Let me just make this all together so you can see the whole entire command. This whole command, we're going to run it again, but it's going to be the correct. We're going to change the output into the careful assembly because we're going to add what the developers suggest you run it with. Then after that, we'll run mega hit default parameters, and we'll add what the developers want you to run, and then we'll do array, and then we will evaluate the assembly. Okay, so after we ran our assembly with SPAdes, we're going to run SPAdes again, but with the developer suggested default or parameters. So I'm going to copy and paste this. Make sure, for some reason sometimes the Word document changes the format. Make sure it's not gonna mess up with the command, but we'll just fix that if it does. Looks like it did. What happened here? There we go. Okay. Misspelling. Good. Okay, so try this again. I won't have to worry about this. You'll get the document with all the errors fixed. And then here we're running the assembly again, but with some few different parameters here added. After we have the SPAdes assembly finished, so we have two folders now, one the default and one for the careful assembly runs, we're going to run the mega hit runs now, or the mega hit assemblies. So first what we need to do is we need to uncompress the files. So we'll uncompress the first one, and then we will uncompress the second one, and then click enter, clear list. Now we have two of these right here, and then copy and paste, and then we can paste this, and then it's going to start running the assembly. Okay, so after we have the first mega hit assembly run, we'll get a folder called mega hit default assembly. That's where our assembly is. So now we have three folders that ran or finished. We have three folders with three different assembly runs, and then we're going to run another assembly with mega hit, but this time we're going to be adding the min count 3, which is suggested by the developers. So paste this in, and now it's going to start the assembly process, and it's going to create another folder specifying that it was a min count 3 assembly. After we have SPAdes or mega hit second assembly done, we can run another assembler, default array. So just copy and paste for the array assembler, and then now we have it doing the assembly. Once it's done, then we can start looking at and comparing the assemblies to one another.